Money is a shadow, a reflection, a byproduct. It's not the cause, it's the effect. And if you chase the effect while ignoring the cause, you'll spend your life running in circles, tired, empty, successful looking, and soul-starved. Because money is not the goal. It's the result of becoming valuable. Let that truth pierce you. Let it confront the stories the world taught you, because they sold you a lie that more money means more worth. That if you could just earn more, have more, post more, then you'd finally feel what you've been missing. But the rich who chase dollars with no depth are still poor. Because wealth is not what you have, it's who you become. And when you become valuable, you never have to chase money again. Money finds you. Opportunity finds you. Favor finds you. Because value is magnetic. But here's the catch. Becoming valuable takes more than talent. It takes transformation. It takes shedding the shallow pursuits of status and stepping into the sacred responsibility of service. It takes saying, how can I become so good, so needed, so aligned with my purpose that the world cannot ignore me? This is the beginning of real wealth. Not the kind that sits in banks, but the kind that sits in legacy, that lives in your name long after you're gone. That multiplies itself through people, through impact, through meaning. It starts with your mindset. The poor think in terms of money. The rich think in terms of value. And the wealthiest, the ones who build lives that matter, think in terms of contribution. Contribution is the currency of the fulfilled. So what are you contributing? Not just what are you doing for work? Not just what are you selling, but what problem are you solving? What pain are you healing? What need are you meeting with such excellence that people feel different just by encountering you? That's the shift. Winners stop asking, how can I make more? And start asking, how can I become more useful, more excellent, more aligned, more rare? Because rare is valuable. And rare is not a gift. Rare is a choice. Rare is crafted in the early mornings, in the extra hours, in the quiet, when no one is clapping. Rare is born from those who choose mastery when mediocrity would be easier, who choose depth when flash would get more likes. Money may come quickly, but value compounds forever. And if you build yourself into someone of immense value in skill, in integrity, in impact, money becomes inevitable. Not because you begged for it, but because you earned it with who you became. This is why clarity matters. Because if you don't know what you stand for, what you're building, who you're serving, and why it matters, you will sell your value for pennies. You will discount your power. You will say yes to what pays and no to what matters. And one day, you'll look back with a bank full of transactions and a soul bankrupt of meaning. Clarity gives you the strength to turn down what's not aligned, even when it pays. Clarity tells you, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is the transformation I bring. And from that clarity, vision is born. Not just what you want to have, but what you want to build, what you want to leave behind, what you want your name to mean. Vision is not a Pinterest board. It is a covenant with your future. It's the invisible force that makes you say no to shortcuts and yes to becoming. Because you don't chase the goal, you grow into it. That's how vision works. It demands discipline. The discipline to delay gratification, to master your craft, to study your field, to serve your clients like royalty, to show up when it's boring, to stretch when it's painful, to keep going when no one claps, no one buys, no one sees, because you're not performing, you're building. And when you build with discipline, your actions become a magnet. People feel it. They feel the depth behind your work, the soul behind your service, the conviction in your content, the honor in your business. And they respond, not just with likes, but with loyalty, with trust, with value in return. That's when money flows. Not because you hustled harder, but because you aligned deeper. Because you decided, I will not chase dollars, I will chase value. I will become so useful, so true, so excellent, that money will never be my master. It will be my mirror. And the reflection will show a person who is free, Free not because they escape the game, but because they change the rules. Because when you chase value, you stop selling your soul for scraps. You stop bartering your time for survival. You stop living like a beggar when you were born to build empires. You become the source, not the seeker. You walk into rooms not asking, what can I take, but declaring, what can I give? You leave people better than you found them. You become a fire that doesn't burn out, it lights others. And in that light, people pay. Not because you ask, but because you've become indispensable. That is value. It lives in the unseen. It's in the way you treat people when no one's watching. It's in how you respond to pressure. It's in how you prepare when you don't feel ready. It's in the systems you build, the culture you shape, the intention behind every product, every message, every move. Value is character, multiplied by competence. It's consistency forged in silence. And here's the deeper truth the market pays for one thing: transformation. Not information, not entertainment. Transformation. The question is, what do people become after they've been in your presence, your business, your orbit? Do they rise? Do they gain clarity? Do they feel seen, heard, known, lifted? Do they walk away with more power than they came in with? Because if you can do that, money is the smallest thing they'll give you. They'll give you loyalty, attention, testimonies, referrals. They'll give you the only thing that builds empires: trust. But trust is earned, not with marketing, with meaning, with the kind of depth that only comes from someone who has done their inner work, who doesn't need the money to validate them, who knows their worth not in theory, but in execution. And it all comes back to one question: who are you becoming? Because your bank account will never outrun your self-worth. Your business will never outgrow your belief. Your brand will never outshine your being. So you must build you. Build the discipline, the courage, the curiosity, the adaptability, the grit, the gratitude, the humility to keep learning, the hunger to keep rising, the devotion to your craft that makes even the mundane feel holy. Because value is sacred. And when you treat it as such, money becomes a servant, not a god. It becomes a tool, not a trophy. It becomes what it was always meant to be: a resource that flows to those who have become irreplaceable. That is your calling: to stop chasing the shallow, to stop begging for scraps, to stop hoping someone will finally see your worth, and to become someone whose value is so loud that the world can't look away. Let that be your mission. Let that be your message. Let that be the rhythm behind every breath you take from here on out. I do not chase money. I create value. And because I create value, money chases me. Because money chases clarity, it chases certainty. It chases those who have decided to become valuable, decided to live in service, decided to stop playing small with their gifts and start building systems that multiply them. And here's what most never realize: value is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters better, with more depth, more precision, more mastery, more soul. You don't need to become everything. You need to become essential in the thing only you can do the way you do it. The world does not reward the busy. It rewards the brilliant. And brilliance is a choice. It's a byproduct of obsession with excellence, not perfection. So raise your standard. Raise your standard for how you think. Raise your standard for how you speak, how you lead, how you serve, how you deliver. Because when your standard goes up, your results rise to meet it. And when results rise, resources follow. Not because you're lucky, but because you've become trusted. And trust is the most valuable currency on earth. More than dollars, more than followers, more than status. Trust is what the market pays for, what people refer, what loyalty is built on. And trust is built through consistency, day after day, word after word, interaction after interaction. When you become someone people can count on in your word, your work, your walk, you become someone the world counts forward. You become the one people think of when they need help, need healing, need answers, need guidance. You become necessary. And necessity is power. Because when you're necessary, you're not chasing. You're choosing. You choose your rates. You choose your clients. You choose your mission, your message, your mode of impact. Because value doesn't beg, it commands. Quietly, confidently, consistently. That is the edge. That is the move. Not noise mastery. Not chasing becoming. Not scrambling serving. This is the shift. From scarcity to sufficiency. From survival to strategy. From transaction to transformation. And it all begins the moment you decide, I am done selling time. I am done trading energy for ego. I am done trying to prove I'm worth something. And I am committed to becoming so valuable, the world is better because I exist. That is your real job. Not to collect money, but to create meaning. To package your pain into power. To turn your insight into income, not because you manipulated it, but because you mastered it. To build something that doesn't just make sales, it makes a statement. That this is what happens when someone chases value instead of vanity. When someone chooses contribution over clout, when someone stops running from who they are and starts running with it. Let that be you. Let that be now. Let that be your new foundation. You don't need a new plan. You need a new standard. And the standard is value. Unshakable. Uncompromised. Unmistakable. Live it. Breathe it. Build it. And the world will pay you in ways you never imagined. And the world will pay you not just in currency, but in calling. Not just in profits, but in purpose. Not just in income, but in impact. Because you've crossed a line most never dare to approach. You stopped trading time and started trading transformation. You stopped measuring your worth by the hour and started multiplying your legacy by the value you inject into every moment, every message, every movement you lead. This is how real wealth is built. Not fast, not flashy, but foundational. It's built in the stillness of knowing your worth before the world ever recognizes it. It's built in the devotion to getting better, not for praise, but because mastery is who you are. It's built in the refusal to take shortcuts, because your name is stamped on your output and your name matters. Your name is your brand. Your reputation is your resume. And your daily habits, they are the proof. You don't rise by accident, you rise by habit. By becoming the kind of person who doesn't just chase outcomes, but who operates from outstanding standards privately, publicly, perpetually. That's what attracts wealth. That's what builds trust. That's what earns freedom. Because when your value becomes undeniable, your income becomes inevitable. And now you've stepped into the rarest territory of all the territory of alignment, where what you love to do is what you're paid to do, where what you're good at becomes what you're known for, where who you are is no longer separated from what you build. This is the edge most never reach, not because they aren't smart, but because they never made the shift. From chasing money to becoming value, you made the shift. You walked away from performance and into purpose. You stopped begging for attention and started building with intention. You no longer need the market to affirm you. Because you are the market, a living, breathing, walking example of what happens when someone fully commits to becoming indispensable. So keep going. Keep refining. Keep deepening your craft, your message, your impact. Because you are no longer a participant in the economy, you are a producer of value. And value is never out of style. Value is never out of demand. Value is recession-proof. Value is timeless. Be it. Become it. And let every dollar you ever earn be a receipt, a confirmation of the value you chose to build when no one was watching. Let every opportunity that comes to your door be an echo of the commitment you made to live, not for the money, but for the meaning behind it. This is how you become rich in every sense of the word. Finish strong because how you end determines what begins. This is the part where most give up, where most plateau, where most say, it's good enough and coast. But not you, because you didn't come this far for a little more income. You came for impact, for immortality not in name but in influence. You came to live in such a way that when people interact with your work, they leave transformed. You came to become so valuable, so real, so rooted, that money follows you like gravity. Not because of hype, not because of trends, but because of truth, because of depth, because of your devotion to excellence when no one is watching. That's wealth. That's the path most never walk. Because it's not loud. It's not always glamorous. It's forged in private, behind closed doors, in the practice, the refinement, the relentless pursuit of becoming undeniable. But the ones who walk it, they never have to chase again. They don't compete. They create. They don't pitch. They position. They don't beg, they build. And the world responds not to their hustle, but to their honor. That's what you've built. That's what you're becoming. And now there's no going back. Not because you can't, but because you won't. Because once you've tasted alignment, once you've felt what it means to be needed, not for what you do, but for who you are, you don't settle for less. You don't chase money anymore. You let it find you in the overflow of your value. You let it reflect the worth you've embodied in silence. You let it serve your mission, not define your identity. So breathe in this moment. Let it sink in who you are, who you've become, what you've chosen. You're no longer building for validation. You're building for vision. You're no longer searching for worth. You're becoming the worth. And your life, your brand, your business, your impact will speak for you with every product, with every word, with every action that echoes the one truth the world cannot ignore, that you stopped chasing money and started chasing value. And because of that, you became rich in every way that matters. Now go, live it, multiply it, and let the world feel your worth. Because now, it's not about whether money shows up, it's about what you do with it when it does. You don't worship it. You wield it. You don't cling to it. You circulate it. You use it to serve, to scale, to elevate others. Because you understand, real value multiplies. It doesn't just accumulate. It doesn't just sit. It moves. It breathes. It builds bridges for others to walk across. Because you turned your success into a system, into something bigger than yourself. That's legacy. Legacy is when your value lives beyond you. It's when the habits you built in silence become the blueprint for others to rise. It's when your name doesn't just represent success, it represents standard. And you carry that standard now, not with ego, but with reverence. Because you remember what it took, the doubt you had to kill, the nights you went unseen, the days you worked without applause, the hours you poured into becoming someone you would be proud to wake up as. And now, you are. Not perfect, not finished, but faithful to the process, faithful to the choice, faithful to the mission. This is what it means to win with soul, to rise with meaning, to succeed without selling out. And this is what the world needs more of. Not more noise, more value. And you've decided to be that, to live that, to model that in how you speak, how you serve, how you show up when it matters most, which is always. So this is your final vow. You will not chase money. You will chase mastery. You will chase depth. You will chase the rare air of those who became invaluable, not through hype, but through heart. And because of that, everything you ever wanted will find you. Now go out there and become value. Live so aligned, so true, so undeniable, that the world has no choice but to rise in your presence. That's how you stop chasing money and start attracting a life that's priceless. Because a life that's priceless isn't built in boardrooms or bank accounts. It's built in the unseen hours, the choices no one applauds, the sacrifices no one documents, the discipline that gets ignored until it becomes undeniable. It's built when you decide, day after day, to trade the cheap rush of quick cash for the deep roar of real contribution. Because you're not in this for the flash. You're in this for the foundation. You're not here to be famous, you're here to be faithful. Faithful to your calling. Faithful to your craft. Faithful to the people you serve. And when you live like that, when you walk with that kind of power, something incredible happens. You no longer measure success by what you have. You measure it by what you give, by what you build, by what you leave behind. You become the person who doesn't just win, you multiply wins. You become the blueprint. You become the benchmark. You become the reason others believe it's possible to live with purpose and still prosper. And that is the final shift. From consumer to creator. From chaser to catalyst. From someone looking for value to someone who is value. So, hold your head high. Stand in your worth. Walk with the quiet confidence of someone who no longer needs to convince the world because their work already does. And let every breath you take, every move you make, every moment you live, be a living reminder of the truth that changed everything. You stopped chasing money. You started chasing value. And that changed everything, not just for your bank account, but for your identity, for your legacy, for the echo your life will leave long after you're gone. Because the moment you chose value over vanity, mastery over metrics, and contribution over comparison, you entered a different arena, one where the competition isn't other people, it's your potential. It's your next level. It's the question life keeps asking. How much more can you become? And you chose to answer that question with action, with consistency, with alignment so deep it made mediocrity uncomfortable. You stopped performing for the world and started performing for the vision. You stopped trying to be rich, and you became rich in character, in clarity, in calling. And from that well, real wealth flowed. So let them chase what's temporary. Let them run in circles, chasing applause and quick wins. But you keep rising with purpose. Keep moving in silence. Keep building with excellence. Because the person who becomes valuable never needs to announce it. Their life will speak louder than their words ever could. Let yours scream service. Let yours roar resilience. Let yours echo eternity. Because you didn't just win. You became someone worth following. And now the world follows value. Your value. So keep going. Not because you need more, but because this alignment, this power, this purpose is the wealth you always wanted. You've got it now. Live it like it's all you'll ever need, because it is. When your life radiates value, when your presence speaks louder than your pitch, when your reputation precedes your name and your impact walks into rooms before you do, what more could you chase? You've already become the thing most people are still looking for. Not money, meaning, not status, substance, not noise, real, undeniable worth. And that worth, that value isn't fragile. It doesn't shake when the market dips. It doesn't panic when plans fall through. It doesn't hide when no one's watching. Because it was built brick by brick, choice by choice, in the fire of focus. You've become a lighthouse in a world drowning in distraction. A standard bearer in a world that's lost its standards. A reminder that there is still power in doing things the right way, the real way, the way that lasts. So hold the line. Don't soften your standard to fit into small rooms. Don't shrink your value to accommodate fragile egos. Don't explain your worth to those who still worship noise over nuance. You don't need to defend it. You are it. And now, everything you build will carry that frequency. Every product, every service, every conversation, every single ounce of your life's work soaked in significance. Stamped with soul, structured with strategy, rooted in truth, because you finally stopped chasing the reflection and started becoming the source. That is your power. That is your peace. And that is the kind of value the world doesn't just pay for. It remembers. So go live like your value is legacy. Because it is. Because legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's what you build into every single thing you touch while you're still here. It's not your name on a wall. It's your fingerprints on people's lives. It's not the applause you collect. It's the lives you shift. It's not the empire they see. It's the impact they feel. And that is what you've been building all along. Brick by brick, breath by breath. In every unseen hour where you chose discipline over distraction, service over self, excellence over ego. You didn't just create income, you created influence. You didn't just build systems, you built significance. You didn't just chase wealth, you became worthy of it. And now, your presence is a permission slip. It gives others the courage to rise, to stop chasing the external, to start creating the internal, to believe that they too can step off the treadmill of scarcity and onto the path of value, because you showed the way with how you live, how you lead, how you give, how you walk, not in desperation, but in dominion. And now, your silence speaks louder than their noise. Your results whisper what no resume ever could. Your actions, your choices, your unwavering standards, they've become your megaphone. So you don't need to chase anything. Because the truth is, when you become value, you attract everything. The people, the opportunities, the money, the meaning. It all arrives. Not because you shouted louder, but because you became clearer. You finally understood. The most profitable version of your life is the most aligned version of your life. And now you're living it. Not someday. Now. So breathe it in. Stand in it. And let the world rise to meet the power of someone who stopped chasing and started becoming the kind of person whose life is a message. A message that says, real wealth is not loud, it's lived. That freedom is not found, it's forged. That you don't have to climb ladders to nowhere, beg for validation, or mold yourself to systems that were never built for your greatness. Because the system is you now. You are the infrastructure. You are the proof. You are the blueprint for how to live with intention, serve with fire, and build a life that multiplies in value every time you show up. And every time you do show up, you're not selling, you're serving. You're not convincing, you're clarifying. You're not pitching, you're positioned. Because value doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It invites. It stands tall, rooted, certain. And that's what you are now certain. Certain of your worth. Certain of your vision. Certain of your mission. And that certainty has gravity. It pulls the right people. It filters the wrong ones. It cuts through the noise. Because in a world addicted to attention, you've chosen to be substance. And substance doesn't fade. Substance doesn't crash. Substance compounds. So let them chase trends. Let them panic over platforms. Let them perform and posture and shout for relevance. You don't need to. You've chosen the deeper game. You've chosen the path of quiet power, of building such profound value that your absence is felt more than their noise ever was. And when they ask, how did you do it? You won't talk about hacks or algorithms. You'll say, I stopped chasing money and I started building me. I became valuable. I honored the process. I mastered the work. I aligned my life. And because of that, the money came. But more importantly, meaning came. So now, walk with the peace of someone who's already won. Because the prize was never the money. It was who you became on the way to earning it. And you became someone priceless, and that can never be taken. Because when your worth isn't tied to digits, deals, or demand, when your identity is no longer up for auction, when your peace isn't rented to the highest bidder, you are free, truly free. Not the freedom they sell in commercials, the kind you can feel in your bones, the kind that lives in your choices, the kind that moves through your words, your posture, your energy. You became the kind of person who doesn't hustle for crumbs, you build tables. You became the kind of person who doesn't just take space, you hold it. You became someone who doesn't just chase dreams. You manifest them through mastery, through clarity, through an unbreakable commitment to live in alignment with the highest version of yourself. That version, you are living it now. Not someday, not eventually. Now, so when you speak, speak with certainty. When you walk, walk with purpose. When you serve, serve like the whole world rises or falls based on how well you do it, because in many ways it does. This world is starving for value, real value, soul-rooted, service-driven, principle-backed, legacy-focused value. And you are no longer looking for it. You are it. You're not just part of the economy, you're shaping it. You're not just part of the conversation, you're leading it. And your life? It's the loudest message of all. So let it speak. Let it echo. Let it reverberate into every corner of the world that needs to remember what real wealth looks like. Not in status, but in service. Not in noise, but in depth. Not in chasing money, but in becoming value. You are the example now. Live like it. Like your very existence is a statement. A statement that says, I will not be owned by outcomes. I will not be moved by market trends. I will not shrink my soul to fit inside someone else's definition of success. Because I am the source. I am the standard. I am the value. And that kind of life, it's rare. But that's the point. Rarity is value. And you didn't come here to be common. You came to be the exception. The one who chose the narrow road of meaning over the highway of mediocrity. The one who kept going when it got quiet, when it got hard, when the numbers didn't show up, but you still did. Because you're not chasing a number anymore. You're chasing impact. You're not chasing fame. You're chasing foundation. And the foundation you've laid, it's built to last. Unshakable, unmistakable, unbreakable. Because it's built on who you've become, not what you have. And who you've become is someone the world can count on. Someone the future will thank. Someone whose presence is a permission slip for others to stop chasing and start building. So lead with that. Lead with your truth. Lead with your craft. Lead with your value. And watch the world reorder itself around your clarity. This is your moment. Not to prove, to embody, to own, to radiate the result of a decision. Most people never make the decision to stop chasing money and to start becoming value. You made it. Now live it. Without apology, without hesitation, because this is the life that doesn't just prosper. It transforms. You are the proof. This is a powerful, deeply reflective continuation of a core theme about value, self-growth, and the true meaning of success. The message stands as an unwavering call to focus on internal transformation rather than external rewards. It encapsulates the journey from empty pursuits of wealth to meaningful success, rooted in becoming someone irreplaceable. By deciding to stop chasing money and instead focusing on creating value, you become the person who attracts wealth in every form, financial, emotional, and intellectual. You become aligned with your purpose, and that alignment serves as the magnet that draws everything you need. Your growth, your dedication, and your mastery of your craft become the true currency of your life. In this narrative, you reshape your world by focusing on contribution over consumption, service over self-interest, and mastery over mediocrity. By doing so, you become the blueprint for others to follow, setting a standard that elevates not just your life, but also those around you. Your impact becomes the legacy you leave woven in the deep, quiet commitment to becoming a person of value, whose very presence changes the lives of others.